This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Bev's Video Kingdom is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Bev's Video Kingdom really is brought to you by...
What the fuck?
What's up, dude?
One of my renters broke the toilet again. That dude takes giant shits. Now I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Why don't you hire a property management company or something to take care of that stuff?
Because they suck, and they take 10%.
You know, our dude Hank owns and manages Heritage Realty Partners. I think he said he only charges 5%, and he visits each property at least once a month.
That's right. He's always posting beers from the road. You have his number?
Actually, I do. His personal number is 805-451-5734.
Perfect. Now he can deal with my renter's big shits.
Heritage Realty Partners.
For all your property management and investment needs. Welcome to Bev's Video Kingdom. What's happening, folks?
Good to see you, buddy.
Scotty, what are you doing, dude?
You know, just...
Bearding that beard.
Just bearding it.
If I could ever beard like Scott, I would beard, but I just can't.
Yeah.
You know, like, it wouldn't ever get there, and so I just don't even want to start.
Isn't it
I can't do that either, but I try.
No, it's not. It's not a pretend. It's not somebody to cover up.
Yeah.
The fact that...
Nate,
That
are we
gay,
talking about
right?
how Nate's bearding?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm 8% bearding.
Not that that's what's happening here. I couldn't remember.
Brad, what's up with you? What do we call those pigtails? If I could pigtail like Brad, I would do it.
That's I don't know.
least
That's
you're-
just something that happens.
We didn't talk about it, but you let the locks flow at the,
You
the
did.
release.
It was
I let him
so
down.
nice.
It was, and then I saw some like pictures and videos of myself. I'm like, one, I mean, considering it's Fat Tuesday, I put the fat in Fat Tuesday, and then
Stop fat shaming
two,
yourself first.
and
of
then
all.
two,
don't
I
like
was like, oh my god, I look so just white trash. It's a thing.
You
I
need to
love
be
it.
nice to our friend Brad. I
Yeah,
thought he
yeah,
was
to-
phenomenal.
I'm kind of feeling bad about the fact I don't like it that you're fat shaming yourself or that
Yeah.
you're hair shaming yourself. There's a
I
whole
was just-
generation
yeah.
looking up to you, and let's just be nice to ourselves, you know?
I feel like I should have driven away in in a big rig and you know,
You
headed
should have
to
done
Nebraska.
that.
You know,
you absolutely
pulling
should have done that, but that's
two
nothing to do
trailers.
with your hair. I mean, it's just fun. Have I ever told you guys how like I have like fantasies about like being a trucker just because I want to sleep in their little extra cabs? True story, man. Occasionally when I get really bored at night, I'll like YouTube the tours of the extra cabs. They're short,
Yeah.
but like fun, you know?
I do the
Like,
same thing. I love, for some reason, the idea of sleeping in like an extra large trucker cab. And
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
what goes on in there? I mean, what are
Walter
they doing?
gets it. Walter
They have
gets it.
What are
documentaries
they
about
doing?
it.
Yeah, I was gonna
They
say.
usually revolve around human trafficking and lawlessness.
No, no, it's
Yeah.
not truckers,
That's
a human
not fun.
trafficker.
I just
truck
want,
stop.
Come on.
Truck stop nightlife seems a little wild.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I think it seems cozy.
Just be careful, I guess, if you leave your
I'm there with you,
certain
Nate.
lights on or something, that means that you're open for business, and
Yeah.
the ladies come over and check you
I-
out.
Lot
I'm not-
lizards.
you know-
They're called lot lizards.
I usually do have some inappropriate motives here, but
Decent
in this
tongues.
case, I really do just want to lay there and
Just
like
seems
watch
cozy.
Netflix,
Yeah,
all
it just seems
snug,
cozy.
you
Yeah.
know,
Netflix
I agree.
and chill.
and chill with myself. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not chilling with any
okay. Like-
trafficked people. Or anything
Now,
like that.
here's my question, and again, for all our trucker fans out there, I'd like to know. But like, are the beds built into do you buy the truck with the bed already built in,
Absolutely.
or do you have to does somebody sell back
like
a
the
truck
shell.
bed?
Well, no, I mean, I think they have it all built in, but you could upgrade the mattress,
Oh, okay.
right? Like the trucker pillow top, I think is a thing.
Okay,
I don't know. What's up, Kendra?
Wow.
Hi.
I
How
love,
are you?
I love it when Kendra's on. I'm always,
Thanks for
I'm always
having
like
me.
psyched.
Yeah.
It's always
Like,
the
can
best.
Kendra come be on? All right,
can.
so
She's here.
You're here, and you're
the
here
flesh.
because you know what? You and I we got to defend some turf. You know,
I know.
Last time we went Notting Hill, and
You
it was
got beat up by everyone besides
Mm.
us.
I came back ready. I'm
Yeah.
kind of pretty jacked right now.
Wow.
Flexed.
Yep, exactly.
Ain't gonna get much better over here.
So we're doing Sleeping with Other People, which is kind of a dark horror. Like this one's a pretty deep cut.
What about Walter earlier? You just like
Yeah.
I already said it. Walter and I already bonded.
Well, you talked
about,
a little bit. You didn't announce him. So I'm
Walter's here. He's ever present.
He has a name, and his name is Robert Paulson.
His name is Robert Paulson. I'm here. Hello, friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry. Okay,
Was that
continue.
sufficient for you?
Yeah, I'm
Appreciate
happy now.
Scott, you're here too.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, not just your beard.
I know.
Okay. So Sleeping with Other People is a 2015 film starring Jason Sudeikis and Alison
Shit,
Brie.
I really watched Sleeping with the Enemy.
No, you did not. So
It's a good movie too. Though.
I like that though. You just kind of sold it. So Sleeping with Other People, it's a romantic comedy for sure.
Is it?
But I would say it's maybe a non-romantic dramedy. I don't know. Who knows what it is?
That's closer.
I can already tell that Scott's going to hate this now that I
He's
think
got
about
some
his
strong
take on
feelings.
it. But
The aura is pushing against my shoulder.
but I saw this movie like way after it came out. I just wasn't even on my radar. But even though I really like the stars and some of the supporting cast, and it like blew me away.
Wow.
I was like, because I'm a rom-com guy, but it just was like it was the thing I'd been waiting for. Like I don't know how long it had been. I mean, this to me, here's the analogy. For me, this is the rom-com equivalent of Warrior to sports films. Like it had been a really long time since there had been a sports movie that like really rocked my world.
I love how committed you are to the rom-com world.
And then the Warrior, I am.
He's a
You
stand.
So I'm a part of
He's
it.
a stand.
You can
no
say a
doubt.
lot of shit about him, but that he's
Warrior,
stands
and then
on that
like
hill.
so I watched Warrior and I was like, that was really good. And I watched it again, it was really good, right? And slowly I kind of came to accept that it wasn't just that I'd just seen it. It was like this is like a top 5 sports movie for me. I think Sleeping with Other People is a top 5 rom-com for me. And it's a crazy take, I know, because like there's a real Mount Rushmore out there that's so well known. Notting Hill, you got Harry Met Sally, you've got maybe Love Actually in the mix, maybe, there's some other things there.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Sleepless in Seattle,
Yeah.
probably. Maybe you've got Mail. But for me, Sleeping with Other People, it's solid top 5 now for me. So I want to hear what all you all think, who are, except for Kendra, not quite as invested in the success of the rom-com world. What do you think, Brad?
Well, so you'd mentioned this movie multiple occasions. I think you drafted it maybe a couple times. You've talked about it, I think, on and I never
Definitely
sat
streaming
and watched.
recommended it multiple times.
Yes. And I would say my biggest takeaway from this movie is it's like a more intelligent Kevin Smith romantic comedy. It's like actually making a good movie out of like Kevin Smith. He has like a lot of sex takes, and like I think that's what we really dug about Kevin Smith back in the day. A lot of frank talk about sex and very open about it. And then this movie kind of took that and said, well, we're going to do it in a little bit more like a smarter romantic comedy
kind of
format.
like they sand the edges a little bit, kind of make it a little like tiny bit more clever and palatable, but like still we're pretty raw.
Yeah, and it definitely it goes that direction with the sex as far as like just thinking
sex.
about the
sex.
sexes, but it talks about in I think ways that maybe the romantic comedies that the other ones you're mentioning like are very much more kind of, I don't know, basic, I guess, and this one like kind of opens it up like maybe we can think about sex in different ways, maybe we can think about relationships in different ways. And like, I think while it doesn't go too far, it definitely kind of like opens up those conversations. Like, what is the healthy way to look at sex? I think.
Well, from all angles and often. I think.
Yeah.
Scotty, what do you think?
All right. So,
What's the dissenting opinion?
well, I've really been struggling with my opinion on this movie. So I had never seen it. I watched it this weekend with Annika. After it was done, I just felt just kind of meh about it. She liked it a little more than I did. And she's probably listening now, and hopefully I'm getting that right. She seemed to like it more than I did. And it's weird because, so I saw a quote where the writer and director pitched this to Jason Sudeikis as When Harry Met Sally for Assholes.
Yeah,
Which I
there's
thought actually makes a lot of
connections.
sense. Okay. And I think that's why I don't really like it.
'Cause you're not an asshole.
I'm not an asshole. And that's debatable.
You don't
but
like when, I have noticed that about you. You don't like when like the main character is a dick.
That's
you don't enjoy
100%.
that.
And so I had 2 issues with it. So I didn't really feel like I was rooting for anybody because their behavior wasn't great, and I just didn't like it. It made me uncomfortable, and there's a lot of scenes that made me feel uncomfortable, and I just didn't love it, so I didn't have anybody to root for. And also, I couldn't get my brain away from the fact that it was Ted fucking Lasso. And I don't know if it was interesting because I brought that up to Annika, and I was like, does it make it actually better because I'm actually rooting for him more than I normally would have? Like, if it was another actor, would I hate it more? And did I like it because it was Ted Lasso? Or was I pissed because I just kept thinking it was Ted Lasso and Ted Lasso wouldn't do that? So I had a really tough time with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that tainted my attitude for the whole thing. Because by the end, I did kind of like a few things. And he did kind of redeem himself a little bit. But at the end, I really didn't want them to be together. Which
that makes it tough. That's a tough sell then for a romantic comedy where they end up together. Huh?
So I know.
You're like, God damn it, dude, not a happy ending.
And we'll discuss that ending later. But yeah, it's just weird. I've really been struggling all day today thinking about what am I going to say, and I still don't know if I have a snag for this because I've been trying to think of what I can snag.
You just keep working.
I'll keep thinking about it as we go. Maybe you guys will say something.
You have to. You just snag me.
So,
okay,
anyway.
and then all your stand-up.
I didn't hate it.
Okay, well,
I liked it more than Notting Hill.
That's an improvement over Notting Hill.
Is that something?
Yeah.
That's something to say right now that I think of the romantic comedies that we've watched, I think I enjoyed this one the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I also think there's some. You mentioned Kevin Smith, and I think there's some things there that we could get to. But I want to hear what Kendra thinks because she's. So had you seen it before? Yes.
I watched this for the first time last night.
You're welcome. What did you think?
Thank you. I really liked it. For some reason, I don't know why.
First of all, time out. He goes, "You're welcome. What do you think?"
He's so
such a guy.
excited.
Not leading at all.
At first, I didn't understand. I didn't know how I was going to feel because that first scene, so many movies start in a dorm and whatever happens from there. And so I was just like, okay, very typical, but that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. But I just didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And then obviously it jumped from there. And then I really liked it. And I think part of the reason why you really like it, because I can't necessarily put my finger on it. I've been trying to figure it out. But I feel like there's some When Harry Met Sally, at least.
It's definitely patterned in some ways after it. I mean, I would say to say that it's like a copy of it is definitely too much. But to say that it's, I mean, it definitely is heavily inspired by Harry Met Sally. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you bring them together early, then they have their separation from each other, and then they kind of the meet cute back together.
Right.
Definitely got that. Just real quick, I just got to say from the beginning, Adam Scott maybe ruins this movie for me.
He was rough.
And his mustache.
He was a good
stash
good
was
bad guy
foul.
though, because that you're supposed to hate him.
Yeah,
But
you're saying his performance?
I just don't think he fits that role. I don't know. If there's something I like better if it's a different actor.
So
I almost what was it like trying to be funny about it? Like, hey, we're gonna put Adam, but I don't know if that's
like he wasn't quite sexy enough to be this sought after guy that she was hooked on. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
And how is she hooked on 8.5 seconds of bad pumping?
Because I think she's like 7.5. She
I don't think
go fast.
I don't think she finished there.
You don't?
I don't.
Oh, baby, this is a problem. I got to re-examine some things.
Walter, did you guys watch it together?
We tried to. Kendra fell asleep the first time, and I finished watching the whole movie, and then she watched it later after she woke back up. But
I was awake for up until 5 o'clock in the morning, the Super Bowl night playing poker. Okay.
Oh,
that's
all.
That is acceptable.
That
is an acceptable response. So, what do you think, Walter?
So yeah, we kind of watched it together, but not really. I liked it. I had not seen it. I know that you've recommended it quite a few times on the pod. I think you recommended it on the Drinking Buddies episode actually. And I'm a fan of Jason Sudeikis. I'm a fan of Alison Brie. I didn't have the Ted Lasso problem, but I could definitely see where that would be an issue in trying to, because Sudeikis also plays assholes though. Like if you play in Horrible Bosses, he's not an asshole per se, but he has that
character.
Personality,
kind
right?
of snarky, a little bit, sort of.
Exactly. So I didn't have as a hard time believing that Jason Sudeikis could play that role. I didn't have the issue with Adam Scott either, because I think part of it was what Sudeikis said in the beginning. Well, that guy, he's boring. Like, why is it? And he just looks like a boring dude. Yeah. He's the dude that no one would remember looked at their vagina as a gynecologist. You know what I mean? Like that's. OBGYN, sorry. Like that's who he is to me in that movie. He's just boring and simple, and he's exactly what Sudeikis sets him up to be before you ever meet him.
So, but he's also pulling these decent chicks? Like where does that come from?
Well, he's a doctor, and he's kind of like he's kind of like aloof, which I think just somehow. So I believe that the pivotal point here is the mustache. Okay,
That stash is so dirty.
the mustache, especially at a time when like right now, like mustaches are a little bit of a comeback. But at that time, like a mustache like that, especially on a dude that looked that much of a wiener, I think it made it into a comic book character. Whereas like if he doesn't have the mustache, you're like, yeah, he's kind of shrimpy and boring, but he like is a reasonable looking guy who's a doctor who kind of has like too much confidence for, and too much of a dick. I mean, how many chicks do we know that like are like, oh, yeah, he's a dick, I like it.
I mean, it's not the craziest thing to see a hot chick with a not hot dude.
Yeah, well, we've seen it before. Yeah.
I did.
Put your hand.
Shut up. You know what? All the self-shaming at this table, I'm going to start knocking heads. Okay?
I do want to say when Kendra mentioned the opening scene being like a college dorm, this is how they meet. Like, it's very, very overdone, but it's what set the tone for the movie in my mind in terms of this isn't just a standard one of these. Yeah, it's going to follow the same formula as most romantic comedies, but they get into the dorm room and he immediately says like, "Oh, I can see your vagina" or something like that. I can see your pussy. Yeah,
because you want to smoke some drugs and watch some porn.
Yeah.
Something about that barely covered vagina.
Yeah,
and she doesn't
exactly.
even flinch.
No.
Was there porn on his screen? Is that like there was actual porn on his screen
when she walked in?
Because she says it, and I didn't like. He closed it too fast. I didn't pay attention. Like if it was actually.
So I liked that kind of said, oh no, this is sort of this edgier version of this kind of story that I personally like. I mean, do they ever say the word cock in When Harry Met Sally? You know what I mean? Like it kind of adds an edge to it a little bit, and I like that it differentiated itself, even though it could be seen as formulaic in its structure. It differentiated itself in terms of how on the edge it was going to play.
So I think one of the themes for me, and like when you talk about that edge, it's also not there's two dimensions to it, right? One is it's just a little crass, right? Like, those are examples, but it also veers into this territory for me of like the thing that Scott, I think, really reacts negatively to and that I'm drawn to, which I don't know what that probably says negative things about me. But I like, the older I get, the more I really like things that play with that gray area, especially with, whether or not characters are good or bad or redeemable, and kind of challenging you on those fronts. I mean, obviously there's sort of like both characters are cheaters, right? Like this is sort of the foundational point of the setup. And both of them, kind of have other qualities in terms of the way they engage in relationships and stuff that are less than desirable. But for me, I think that's what makes it so appealing, because that just makes it feel more real, right? I know a lot more people who at some point in their life have struggled with, in romantic relationships with some version of imperfection, of lack of sort of like, perfect ethics. And, you kind of look at that and you go, well, like people are people, like that's how, some more extreme than others, some make worse choices than others in terms of hurting people. But I think I like the idea that we get to follow along with people who are still engaged in this like very emotional, sort of like emotionally tense relationship with, all the while sort of fucking up and like trying to deal with fucking up and maybe trying to get better, but not get all the way better. So I don't know. I think that's maybe what I like about it so much, is it doesn't feel entirely like just a fairy tale, because the characters aren't fairy tale characters.
It's very like
feels
relatable.
real.
Yeah.
A movie that it kind of reminds me of was Friends with Benefits. I almost want to go back and watch that again, because I only saw that once. I remember coming away from it thinking like,
that was a good
okay,
movie.
there's some like, it's kind of like thinking about like relationships and like I said, in different ways, like you said, and maybe what could be considered challenging ways. And this is kind of doing a little bit of that same thing. I don't know, the whole, like, they're just, I mean, they are serial cheaters, and I know a lot of people that I've been around, that like in college especially, and like even a little bit beyond that, where it's just like that's just the way they rolled, and it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, if you're not trying to actively harm people, does that make it okay? I don't know.
Well, and whether or not, I mean, I guess maybe the question is like, can you suspend your, do we have to ask whether that like it's okay, right? Like, I mean, this is part of the, I mean, maybe, in some ways, right, like it implies that we are, as a viewer, supposed to, we're supposed to experience this from a perspective of like judging whether or not we can or cannot root for the characters. I think part of what I like is sort of suspending my need to do so and saying, I just get to watch, this thing that I'm not, this relationship engage, in the course or take the course that it takes with people that I'm just interested to see how they work and how that works between them and two people that are struggling. So I think for me, it's even less about whether or not it's okay, more just about what does that look like? What does it look like for somebody to try to get past that with one another?
I think I was expecting just a funnier movie. And then when I didn't get that, and the sex addiction is a very, serious thing, and seeing her suffering through that. And I didn't like that was like supposed to find things funny that weren't necessarily funny to me. And I don't know. I just think I was expecting a different experience.
I will say it definitely that's why I sort of hesitated, not entirely joking about being comedy versus dramedy, because there's a few scenes that are heavy.
Oh, yeah.
She goes in the bathroom and is having essentially like a panic attack.
Yeah.
And that's like such a real
it's not
art.
played for laughs.
Yeah.
Like it's the music over the top of it and all of the like the way it's pitched. You for a moment are in a really like, it's a really intense place for, that romantic comedies almost never go.
Oh, we haven't even talked about just not even those moments, but some of the sex is like definitely
I want to get there, man.
for a lot of realism versus like the traditional romantic comedy style.
Who talked to that like juice bottle and made sure it was consenting for all of the all of the
I don't know.
fondling
They
that
clearly did not read the label carefully
No.
because I don't think it.
Yeah, I agree, Brad. I that's one of the things that I thought about it was that this is Zach and Miri on the coffee beans, right? This is what that is. This is
Damn, that's a good analogy. Dude, Walter, you nailed it.
Like it pulls it into these when they have the interactions with each other, like it really is different than when they're interacting with other partners. I think it shows the growth in their relationship even when they finally get there. You know what I mean?
But I mean, even, to push that though one step further, he has sex with Amanda Peet.
Yeah.
Right. And that for me is one of the most intense sex scenes ever in any movie in terms of like the way you feel like you're like, holy shit. Like I am right. Like the way they play that feels, and they're not even the two main like romantic characters, but man, it is like, it's not played at all for anything but like intensity.
And well, that's the scene where he says Lainey, right? He
says
her
Lainey,
name.
yeah.
He calls her Lainey. a couple
But she's
times.
like, I want you to do what you've never done, and just like, kind of takes control a little bit. And it's, I love that. That's one of my favorite sort of scenes of the movie, just for like the way it switches gears.
Yeah,
But-
The Adam. Go for it.
Just do what you've never done, and then he says her name. Like that's just another level of how much he like loves her. Like he's never done her, but he like you know what I mean. Like
right.
Because when he says when they have the little conversation about like we do everything that a couple does, but we're not, and he says, well, when you have sex with something, then you kind of risk then losing it or something along those lines. And I was like, well, I think the movie plays with that. This doesn't mean a lot to either of them until it happens with each other.
Yeah.
The Adam Scott, the one at the desk with
heavy too.
That one, the one that came to mind for me was Boogie Nights, where like they're filming the first porn
Yes.
scene with Amber Waves,
Damn,
and it's like
close up.
on the desk, and it's like it's the breathing, it's like it's close up, it's kind of raw, and I was like, I think I wasn't expecting that in what you would consider like I said a romantic comedy. It was like, oh shit, this is taking the sex pretty, because Friends with Benefits, it's silly, it's super silly.
Oh yeah.
But this was like, oh shit, we're gonna be raw with the sex for a while.
And we went a different direction with the draft, but I almost, because we've done one close to this, but I almost did most intense sex scene as the draft. And we've done a couple of those like similar ones, so I didn't, but I'm like, man, there's several in this that like in different ways feel just like heavy, heavy in good and bad ways.
I would have went heavy with Pixar if that was the category.
I'm just, I just sorry I couldn't get past the door still being open. It fucking freaked me out.
You're just like, dude, I don't like that. Exactly.
It just made me so uncomfortable. And I was like, there's no way that would be okay. Like there's people right out in the office, you hear them, they would hear what's going on in there, and it just freaked me out, and I hated it.
Was that done for
I couldn't
was
tell.
that intentional or was it
was that
accidental?
like her kink? I felt like she looked at it very like
Or his kink, or I mean,
I read it as like his like another level of his like control over her. He's like, I'm not even gonna shut the door.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I'm not even worried. You know,
yeah.
like because he's the one clearly that knows it's open. So then afterwards he shuts the door to have
Yeah.
whatever the conversation's gonna be. But he's like, I'm gonna fuck you with the door open in my
Yeah.
office. It doesn't matter.
I sort of saw that as because a lot of Sudeikis' interactions too with the women he sleeps with in the movie are very much it's just a physical thing. And I saw the door being open is like all they care about is this physical part of it, because they don't care if someone comes in and catches them and there's like emotional damage there. Obviously, she deals with some of that,
Right.
but I think more so she's dealing with the fact that she can't understand and overcome this sort of addiction, not necessarily to Adam Scott's character, but just to sex with him in general.
Yeah, and I mean that's an interesting, like we don't see any other examples of her like in the throes of sex addiction, but it's definitely sold as that, and I think you buy it, right? That maybe you're just not seeing it, but all right. So I think we should probably move on and talk to somebody who might have some interesting insights.
Pull up a chair and grab yourself a drink. We'll hypothesize what directors think. Maybe sometimes get a guess what makes us look good. Let's drink, laugh, and pretend we know what we're doing. Drinking with the director, brought to you by Last Call Brewing.
Boom. This movie is written and directed by Leslie Headland.
Who's
But-
that?
I think she works for Last Call Brewing.
I don't think so.
This was her second movie that she directed, and I haven't seen any of them, so I just telling you what I read.
Okay, well let's jump back
That's all
a
I
second
got.
though. We should let's not overlook the fact that there's a couple things going on. One,
Okay,
Last Call Brewing is our permanent sponsor.
right.
We have just released in
BVK.
BVK IPA 3 live and
That
in
was
person.
beautiful.
So we are, graced with the truly gigantic
He's already rolling
talent
his eyes.
I know. Look at him.
that is Walter, the brewmaster.
Even
So
the spooky freezer's getting involved.
I know.
how do you feel about, like, if you had to judge 1 versus 2 versus 3, which one do you want to drink? If you can only drink one of the 3 BBKs.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think the third one's the best, only because if it weren't, that'd mean I'd be getting worse at my job.
I like
Great
that.
answer.
I agree.
Good
That is
answer.
a good answer.
I feel like it's Family Feud. Good answer. Good answer.
Okay, so what are we drinking? What's everybody drinking?
As the co-designer of that beer, I think I'm gonna co-sign.
Brad just he can't
Oh
let
my
it
God,
lie.
there's no Amarillo. It's okay.
There's no Amarillo, which I think probably would have made the beer better personally, but Walter was overridden by Brad.
And overridden is not. I think he just was like, I don't want to deal with this bullshit.
You're right.
I'm
Brad
just gonna
whined
allow
so
it.
much that
Customer
Walter
is
got
always
tired.
right. The customer is always right.
He was saying that over the entire day. So I could just read it in his mind.
So I think we all are drinking something that Kendra brought in honor of the
Yes.
fact that we're recording on
Besides
fat,
Scott.
except Scott.
It's okay.
Well, Scotch is
It's
Scotch.
personal.
What are you drinking?
Yeah,
What are you
not
drinking?
bad feelings.
Scott?
I'm drinking whiskey. I'm drinking something called Kilchoman. It's Scotch, and it's really tasty, and it's smoky, and it's
It was very
spicy and
tasty.
yummy.
I just like the pronunciation you threw on that.
Ramen.
Yeah. So
The rest of us are drinking what kind of daiquiris are these?
We're drinking. They're just normal, run of the mill, standard daiquiris
They're
because it's Fat
delicious.
Tuesday,
It's Fat
and
Tuesday.
I love New Orleans so much.
Yeah. Kendra made me flash her. The boobies.
I did.
My boobies.
Yeah.
I saw
already
all
did 'em.
3 of his nipples.
Oh man,
we weren't supposed to talk about that,
one's
huh?
long.
I know.
gotta tell
You might
It
get
was
that checked
confusing.
out. Maybe get that checked out. How many times you guys been to New Orleans? Once, twice?
I've been
I've
3
only been
times.
once. Kendra's been 3 times.
Yeah,
Okay. It is a
3
great
times.
town. It is a great.
It's so wonderful.
Brad's New Orleans food story is one of my all-time faves. You probably
I'm
told it on
pretty
the
sure
pod.
I've told about it, but the real quick rundown is I was with 5 guys in college, and they wanted to go eat at a TGI Fridays one night, and I absolutely refused. Just like refusing Amarillo hops, I put my foot down, and I said, I'm not going to TGI Fridays. And I went off and found my own little food spot, and they went to TGI Fridays like a bunch of chumps. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
That
love
was one of the
that
most
for you.
right things you ever done. Okay,
I feel
so
it's one of my best decisions of my life, for reals.
Leslie Headland is the director and writer here. This is the second. Has anyone seen her first?
no.
What is it?
Bachelorette.
Sure haven't.
Kind of a sneaky good movie.
I've
Like,
seen
it's really underrated.
television show.
No, it is. It has a great cast. Like
Did you watch that after watching this one because of?
No,
you
I
watched
had
it
actually
already?
seen this. I saw this one probably closer to when it came out, but it's Kirsten Dunst, Isla Fisher, Lizzie Kaplan, James Marsden. Like it's a kind of a banging cast. Rebel Wilson.
I feel. I've seen
good.
the
Andrew Reynolds.
little
him.
icon for it on Netflix.
You should watch it. It's solid. I mean, I don't want to oversell it, but like it's good.
Adam Scott, Horatio Sands.
Yeah, it's a good cast. And so then after that, right, it's mostly TV.
Well, I got to give a shout out to her because she was one of the co-writers on, it was a single season and it got not getting approved for a second season, but it's called Terriers. It was on FX and it is an outstanding series. Like even though it ends after one season, it's worth checking out. It's got
Donald Logue in it. Yeah.
Donald Logue. Yeah. And it's just a weird, quirky kind of private investigator, like very much along the lines of like the Big Lebowski.
Okay.
It's worth checking out, and she was one of the writers on that, so that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that until just now, and that's she's got some chops.
So I would say, like, I mean, really, those are the only two features, and the last one being 2015. She's written some TV and other things, but like,
well, About Last Night. Have you seen that? She wrote that. Has anybody seen that?
About Last Night.
About
that
Last
sounds
Night.
Familiar.
It's right before Sleeping with Other Bitches. She was the writer on that.
Is that the Miles Teller? No, I'm thinking of
About Last Night. Yes, yes, it is. No, I'm sorry. Kevin Hart, Michael Ealer, Regina Hall.
No, I'm not seeing
I
it.
wonder if that's a remake of the About Last Night that was in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, it's got. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I mean, it's got to be right. That's the famous.
T.O.'s in it. Must be great. Brian Callen. No, it says T.O. as himself. That's pretty cool.
So I guess I mean I want more from her, right? Like I guess my general take here is like maybe I'm the only audience for this.
Well,
no, I like it, but I guess something I want to know is I know some of the executive producers are Adam Scott and Will Ferrell, right? So I want to know like how much of this movie's greatness was also attributed to like.
Well, she also wrote Russian Doll. That was like she was the showrunner for Russian Doll, which got a ton of
Walter liked that, I think.
Ton of critics loved it, and it was like it was a big thing
Natasha
for a while.
Lyonne was
yeah,
in that too.
Natasha Lyonne being in that at the star of that. You said you watched a little bit of it.
I did. I watched that show. I thought it was great. I thought it was really well written, and I enjoyed it.
I think the reason why she probably didn't get more after this was commercially it wasn't a success.
No.
It only made like $3.5 million in the box office. So
yeah, I don't know what the
first one did. Her Bachelorette did, but
it probably didn't do as well.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's not done well. I mean, but I guess part of my curiosity here is like it's not because the movie is shit. Like whether you like it or not, it's not like garbage, right? It's not like a terrible. Yeah. The cast is like, if nothing else, Sudeikis is doing a great job acting. Alison Brie's doing a great job acting.
Yeah.
Like Mantzoukas is like funny, and Amanda Peet's great. I mean, like there's a good cast doing good work, right? So whether it's kind of a weird movie in the sense that like you hadn't even you're a rom-com person, you hadn't even seen it. It's on most people's radars. Like why did it?
I don't even think
marketing?
that I've seen like a little tile for it. Like
I feel like that's a lot of Sudeikis. The movies he stars in don't get a ton of.
He does. He's a little sneaky.
He seems to be under the radar
Olivia
per
Wilde's
se when
fault.
it comes to a lot of his films that I think are great. Right? I mean, even his what would be his heaviest promoted movies? The Horrible Bosses movies, maybe. I don't.
We're the Millers, maybe.
Miller, but that's Jennifer Aniston in it, right? So
Right.
that's a giant star.
I feel like he was always under the radar until Ted Lasso, and then became like the household name. But it's like it seemed like he was always kind of the SNL guy that just never really got the full shine of some of the others that were around him. And
But I can't think of a movie that he kind of plays a lead in that I don't like.
Yeah,
But I'm thinking about it now.
I mean, we talked about this at some point. I can't recall which movie, but like there's a bunch of these actors that are just maybe actually maybe it was Nick and I from our old co-host Nick had this conversation privately, but like if you look at a bunch of the SNL alum that go on that are like pretty clown like in their early days, they go on and have some amazing roles, right? Like Hader, right, goes on and both Bill Hader and Sudeikis are have Barry and Ted Lasso on basically at the same time, and they're incredible in those, like in terms of the acting. And you sort of go back down the list, right? Bill Murray, right, is a great example. There's just a lot of great actors that come out of that like straight up comedy.
I really liked what's his name, Billy
Eichner.
When he's talking about selling assholes or something at the sex,
When
his
he gets up there
entire
in front.
spiel there was fantastic.
So
yeah, I did log into the store's Instagram and say there's a sale on assholes. Come get your assholes.
Sudeikis was there to pick up chicks, right?
It seems like
Gotta
it.
be, yeah.
It
He
seems
wasn't
like
there.
it.
Yeah, just based on his whole philosophy that he explains about women and sex. He's not there for self-help. I don't feel.
You would, I think, because he says, "Oh, well, my girlfriend wanted me to go," or whatever, and it's like,
And then
I
she
think,
broke up with me.
Yeah. So I think he's definitely just kind of like, let me see what's going on at this thing. Melissa's right behind me, and we watched not too long ago Billy Eichner's, what's it called? Yeah, we watched Bros with Billy
Oh,
Eichner.
that looked funny, but I
how
didn't
was
see
that?
it.
It's
I'd want to
crazy.
see it. Okay.
It was pretty wild. It's worth checking out. There's some Daniel Tosh interviewed one of the main stars in it, and it was a pretty good interview. So I was like, okay, let's check this out. And
Okay.
it was a decent movie. It's funny. It's got moments.
I imagine it's fiercely inappropriate.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
Real quick, going back to our lady at hand, she's dipping in that Disney money. She's got Star Wars, The Acolyte. She is the showrunner for that, which is coming out this summer.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So right into the Star Wars universe. It's supposed to be a kind of end of like the Empire's like reign. It looks like it's gonna be kind of a female driven cast. So we'll see how that.
So maybe
goes.
that, I mean, maybe that gives her some more like leverage to do some more of this, because I'm all in. Like I'll watch the hell out of any features that she puts out from now on.
Good old Leslie.
Oh man,
Yeah, everybody's favorite.
Leslie with a Y.
Yeah, she's married. She's lesbian, married to a woman. Surprisingly, as a lesbian.
What?
So wait, I'm sorry.
I just butchered that.
Lesbian married?
Can we clarify this? Sorry.
She's
She's a lesbian
Lesbian married.
one of those
the
lesbian who is married
to her wife.
to a woman
to a woman
as a lesbian.
Holy
as
shit.
a lesbian, and I
That's
think
some
her wife.
2024 new age crap.
I think her wife's lesbian as well.
They allow that, and they allow that, and her wife's also a lesbian.
Nowadays, you never know.
Oh
You
my
never
wife's
God.
lesbian.
I don't even
married
know what
too?
we're doing here. What are we talking about?
But
Or next
as-
thing you're gonna tell me is that gay men are also married to men. That's
Shut up.
nonsense,
You
right?
edit
What are
this
we-
out, I'm going to be so mad at you.
You better not. Don't you do it. Don't you do it, Brad.
but yeah, like the people writing sex comedies, like I said, we talked about Kevin Smith earlier as a director. He's always had like sex as part of his movies, whether it's just the raunchiness of talking about sex, but also Chasing Amy is still considered one of his like better movies in the fact that like it was openly talking about, for one, lesbian relationships, and then two, the fact that they have very frank conversations about sex. Like, I mean, Jason Lee, that's how they start hitting it off in the bar and stuff. And it's like, why don't more movies do that in like an intelligent way rather than just like making it either like a dumb comedy or just like a sappy romantic
Well,
comedy?
is this rated R?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
so-
this is hard R.
So I'm.
Hard R.
I forgot that would be referenced in two ways in society now. Hard R. I always think of like the movie, like hard R means just like, oh, it's an aggressively R-rated movie.
Well, then my thought would be that's why, right? Because then you lose a lot of commercial appeal once that rating gets to an R.
It's tougher to make it commercially with an R rating. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess I also think it's hard to know. I don't have a good feel, right? But like, I'm a guy that hangs with girls that are like funny and a little crass, and and I hang with guys that are clever and funny, but like sex and stuff like that is often a topic. Mm-hmm. So to me, I'm like, yeah, this is like, why don't we? This is the world we live in, right? But maybe we're just the weird minority.
I don't know, because it feels like maybe there's just not enough people that know how to get it across on film without it looking cheap or sleazy or whatever. Like, I'm sure there's a very fine line that you kind of gotta do.
I mean, maybe it's
Maybe.
Yeah, you've got to be both crass and clever, right?
Because
And-
if you're too much, then you fall into this category.
right,
And then if you're too clever, are you still
yeah,
getting whatever point across you want to get?
yeah, maybe.
Do we think
Leslie.
movies are going to evolve in a sense that, like, I think as the older generation starts to kind of fade away, like, I mean, do you think people are just more open to sex, or is it just because of society nowadays that people are going to be less likely to start having these types of movies come out?
Well,
I mean,
I was just going to say, I mean, look at the 80s and all the sex movies and all the teen sex movies and you know,
All the John Travolta movies.
so it's like it seems like it's actually gotten less in a way. It kind of came down from that hardcore, just straight up sex being the plot of the movie.
But think about what that like. So think about Porky's, right? This is
Right.
like a great example of it, right? So like we look at that now and we're like, this is totally inappropriate, right? Like this is, but if you were somebody that was, say, you know, coming of age in the, I don't know, 60s, even the 70s, right? You would have thought that this was like the way that boys misbehaved and the way that girls expected boys to misbehave, right? A peephole and a shower. And so like whether or not that's like
Contextually, it's
like you can,
yeah.
you know, thinking it's wrong, right? And which it certainly is a total violation, is still doesn't change the fact that that was like what people did and thought of. That was the way they interacted in a sort of like sexual way. But they probably weren't sitting around with a bunch of women talking crassly about like very explicitly about how to finger themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in some ways we think of it as being like a lot about sex, and it was, but it was about the way that they did things that were sort of like edgy, which was like, boys were supposed to be the ones that were always sort of pervs and trying to peep, and girls were trying to cover up. And like sometimes, you know, they got away with it and no one was really asking too many questions about whether this was okay. So some of why we might be seeing this, right, is because it's for a generation of people that now all of a sudden, right, that stuff's not cool, right? Like, but it is fine to be like, I'm in a room with a woman that seems to be comfortable with it, and let's all talk about like how people, you know, how you effectively finger yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's not as
Dirty
that's
DJs.
Not, do the dirty DJ.
Well,
right? You gotta be rude to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a 10-year-old movie too, though, right? So I think just as personally, the
Is movies for 10-year-olds?
For 10 years.
Jeez.
He said that at first, and I was like,
Maybe that's
damn,
why I didn't
dude,
like it. Sorry.
It's the R-rated comedy kind of doesn't really exist anymore either, right? And
Yeah.
there was a time, you know, when Tropic Thunder and The Hangover and those types of movies did really well, and that was even longer than that. And in I think Trainwreck came out in 2015, the Amy Schumer movie, and there's a few other movies around like rom-coms that came out around the time that had a bit more of a raunchy edge to them. And I think just as R-rated comedies in general have gone away for the most part, at least commercially successful ones, this kind of seems to fit in the same boat, unfortunately.
I just wonder though whether like part of it is that like we've changed the way that we release content. It's like I wonder if we were like to look hard at what's come out straight to Netflix, straight to Hulu that's been pretty decent. Like if we would have if we would start to go, oh yeah, but that one was like, that was pretty raunchy and that's an art. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that's wrong, but like, I sometimes wonder whether or not it's not big box
just under
office.
the radar,
And
there's some stuff.
But eventually
that's out there,
people do consume it, right? It's just, they don't all consume it on the first 3 weekends. And so somehow like, cause I can think of a handful of movies that like in their own way are pretty raw, right? And they're definitely R-rated, but they just aren't huge movies because there isn't, you know, in some ways that doesn't. So it's like, yeah, that's not what's still going to the theater. But I don't know. I want to kind of step back and think about that.
People were just starting to stream content in 2015. That is actually a really good point. I think technology is part of it. It's like 2015. This was still like, hey, what's come out in the movies? What's come out in the theaters this weekend? Oh, there's that Sudeikis movie. Oh, we should maybe go check it out. And now post COVID and all that stuff, it's like, do you ever really like, are you looking to see what movies are coming out any weekend? I have no clue.
No, sometimes on a Tuesday morning.
You do? You check out this, see what the new ones are coming out?
No, I mean like that's the only time I'm actually gonna go to a movie is like I'm skipping work and I'm going to the movie.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, but
I'm
yeah,
just saying like, and it's not like the Friday night, like Saturday night thing to do, you know, like.
Well, right now, how many of you can name 3 movies that are in the theater right now?
I can't.
No way.
Something about beehiving or something.
Oh, The Beehive. That's Jason Statham. I just looked at it because we were going to go.
think.
Oh yeah, the Beekeeper. We were going to go see Argyle this last weekend, but we ended up
Argyle?
not. So that's the only reason I looked. But it was Argyle.
There's probably a few Marvel movies in the theaters right now. Yeah.
There's probably at least
5.
one Marvel movie.
I think that Madam Web is coming out soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We went and saw Godzilla. I mean, that's the last movie I went and saw in a theater.
that movie.
The minus one, and I thought it was great, but I couldn't tell you what else was playing at the time because we
I have
went
no
to see
idea
that
what else
specifically.
Right now, you've got Dune reissue. Oh, so that's just the reissue.
Because
Because
first
part
one.
2 is
Lisa
coming out.
Frankenstein,
Never heard of it.
Out of Darkness,
Don't know what that is.
Argyle, The Mean Girls musical, Beekeeper, Night Swim, Wonka.
Oh, Wonka. Yeah.
No,
I thought that came out a long time ago, though.
I think
no
it's
one's,
just
no wonder
on
no one's
there.
going to the movies.
You're right. The movies are dead. Point taken.
It's just weird.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for our director? Because I feel the itch.
So there was one scene that was interesting to me, and it was, I think I know what she was going for, and it just didn't do it. I just want to know why. why did she have to take her shirt off in front of all the kids and dance in front of them? Like, I like the fact that she was like gonna do the dance with the kids, and she's gonna, hey, I got this, and these kids are gonna have fun. And then she takes her shirt off, and I guess she's in a swimsuit top, but it was weird.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a swimsuit top. But why'd she have to take the shirt off?
She was on shrooms.
I know she was on shrooms.
No, she was on Molly. She was
on Molly or whatever. But I don't know. I liked the scene until she did that. Then it was just weird and awkward, and I was like, I don't know. I don't feel like, because I liked how she was just being free, and it was kind of like they're having a good time.
Well, and like she already had the shirt kind of unbuttoned. Like they could have rolled with it. It still would have been kind of sexy and made that point, because they want to have the slow-mo where he's watching her.
Right. But I don't understand why the shirt had to come off.
Does a parent immediately be like, what the fuck's going on?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know that
if a girl took her shirt off and she had a swimsuit top on and was dancing like that, because she's doing kind of some,
I wouldn't say a goddamn word, Scott.
That's the most honest answer we've had on this.
I don't know. I'm a fucking old man on the lawn. Get off my lawn on this movie, I guess.
I've got a question that relates to that for the director, and this might step on some body bags and snags and shags, but what's the need other than that specific instance of using the slow motion? Why is it? I feel like it's used way too much in this movie. There's a few sequences where there's some slow motion happening that I
don't remember the others. What are the others?
There's the scene where he's chasing his girlfriend down the street when it's raining after she finds out he cheats on.
It's not his girlfriend. They weren't exclusive, and I just think the crappy thing he did there was sleep with her friend, not cheat on her.
Yeah,
and that just needs to be.
But
clarified.
there's that scene, and they slow him down while he's running down the street. And there's a few other instances of I just don't understand what the purpose of it was.
Trying to be a little creative, a little artistic.
Yes, but why? Like, it's not a film that calls for that, except for I can see the dancing scene where they're trying to show that
or like the
she's high and
cityscape when they're showing it's been like time, and you can see like the seasons.
It just because they don't use any sort of transition of time like that, other than a flash on the screen with text. Besides that, so I just feel like these elements don't fit into this film specifically. And I thought my stream was buffering or something a few times, because I was like, why are we slowing this down here? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah. All right, let's kind of sum things up here and find out how we felt about the different best and worst parts.
Do you enjoy movies?
Do you enjoy adult beverages?
Do you enjoy conversations that could go off the rails at any second?
If you said yes to any of these questions, then you should check out the Films and Fermentation podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're just three friends
who like to talk shit about movies
while getting shit-faced. So join us every week as we discuss interesting movie topics like best ensemble films, most paused moments in cinema, and the occasional movie review, plus so much more.
When you add drinking, you have no idea where this conversations could go.
So find us on Spotify, Apple Pods, Good Pods, YouTube, or wherever you go to listen to your favorite shows. You could also visit linktree.com/films and fermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. We'll be waiting for you to join us weekly at the crossroads between pickled and fermented. Cheers.
Cheers.
Is it a one-night stand, or do you cut his arms and legs off, or take him home to mom and dad? It's like fuck, marry, or kill. It's Shag Snack Body Bag.
That is accurate.
I think it's appropriate. Yeah.
For a movie where there's some intense disagreements,
little violence.
Somebody gets pushed in front of a cab. I feel like that's appropriate.
See, that's the whole thing. Is like Adam Scott being in this movie seems like it could go that direction, where it just becomes like a really zany,
like a
weird
straight
comedy.
up serial killer, like a weird, I
guess you could go serial killer.
You could go like a horror comedy with him in it.
Yeah,
with that mustache
for sure.
All right, so we're gonna shag, snag, and then also body bag. And I want to know, Scott, because you were struggling to snag, but you might have a shag.
Yeah,
you're gonna shag.
I'm gonna shag the outtakes at the very end with what's his name, Mantzoukas, and then the girl from Step Brothers. I forget her name, but she's great. Oh, she's great. But that was my favorite part of this movie. was that because that was
want more
so
outtakes?
good. I wanted more outtakes, and I actually wanted more of them in the entire movie. And honestly, I like him, but a lot of his lines didn't really hit for me throughout the movie. But I liked their interaction, and so I would have liked maybe a little bit more of them together. But yeah, that last part,
Andrea Savage,
yeah, they were great. Their chemistry was awesome, and they had some really good lines at the end there, and I just love that part. So,
you're Kendra. What are you shagging?
My shag was at the end of the movie when he's in the police station, before he gets in the police station, when he punches him in the face, and then it's sealed with him yelling Elaine on the phone, and Adam Scott like realizing that that's who he's like talking to, and kind of processing that like someone is willing to step up for her. Like,
so I also love that that's a throwback to the first scene.
Yeah,
which is like she's like she hates it that any reference to
Elaine
to the Graduate, right? It's kind of that's a good one. All right, what are you shagging, Brad?
I'm gonna shag Allison Brie, which is funny because I am going through. She has a gigantic IMDb. She's been in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and I'm really going through this. Aside from her being the voice of Unikitty in the Lego movie, like
you haven't seen Community?
I did not watch Community.
That is your kind of show. It's really offbeat and like
I like
it's got
a lot of folks
Joel
that are in
McHale.
it.
Dude, you should go back and watch. I would love to see you watch season 1. She's in this. It's up and down the line a really good watch.
I know, but my takes on network shows, I really there's very few I could ever get into.
Yeah, well, you're dumb, and you should.
I am kind of dumb. But like Glow, like there's a lot of stuff that I'm looking at that I just never.
This
went
one's
and
like
watched.
really almost like non-network. Like it shouldn't have been there. It should have been on Comedy Central. Like it's a very
Walter also likes Community.
Yeah, I mean I don't know how I only watched the first few seasons, but me and Chris. Back in the day would watch it, and both of us just absolutely fell all over ourselves about Allison Brie. That was like the beginning. I'm a big fan of her looks and general attractiveness.
No, yeah, and good actress. She was game in this movie as far as like all. I think she was perfectly cast. I mean, she fit.
Yeah.
And then she's married to Dave Franco, and I had a little man crush on Dave Franco for a long time.
He's the better of the Francos.
Yeah, going back to when he was on Scrubs. He had the weird season of Scrubs at the very end when they had like the new little hospital.
Well, see, that's a network show and an NBC network show.
Oh, Scrubs is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Dude, I'm telling you that Community and Scrubs are cousins. Community has a similar weird feel to it. You should watch it, man. You know what? I should tell you shouldn't. Don't watch it. Don't watch it because you know what? It's a suck show. It's too weird. It's straight up too weird for me. And you shouldn't watch it. Don't ever watch it.
You should actually. No, the better way to do it is to say it's too weird for you. Like just.
I just said it's too weird for me.
Say it's too weird for me.
I like that he's scripting this. It's too weird for you, dude. Like it's way too weird. Too offbeat. You wouldn't get it.
I'm gonna go watch it.
You wouldn't get it.
Now there's how.
I don't think you're gonna get it.
There's how
you can try, but I don't think you're gonna get it. So I'm gonna shag something we haven't talked about at all. Shockingly, which is the music. Mm-hmm. Like there's not a lot of like mainstream songs, but they come in at perfect times. It's kind of like indie stuff that's like just at the edge of well known. Really good. Like there's just, for me, the music, not only the choice of music, but the like way that it's introduced into the movie is just perfect. So I think that this is the sleeper strength of the movie. I don't think it's the same movie without the way the music is.
That's funny because I tried to think of a needle drop at later on. I was thinking about like, was the music good? Because I was going through my Shag Snack Body, and I was like, I remember a lot of indie music, but indie music just it flies right past me unless it's like a very specific.
No, it's
scene.
because you wouldn't get it, right? Like it's music you wouldn't get.
Like I was trying to think. I was trying to think of something that like stood out as far as like, oh, boom, that clicked, or like I really like that song, or it made me think of like, what is that song? And I never did that.
Over your head. Okay, Kendra, what are you snagging from this movie?
My snag. What was my snag? Oh, my snag was like when they're laying down and they have the whole like "I love you for free" moment.
God, that's one of my favorite
it's the cutest
lines
thing.
ever.
It's
in any
good.
Movie.
It is good.
It's actually an interesting one because like as a concept, not even just a line. Like it doesn't show up a lot, right? Like the very idea that like I'm gonna love you in a romantic way,
just don't have
and like
to do anything.
I don't expect anything. I know nothing can come back to me for it. Like there's a real like bittersweet, like the most bitter, most sweet bittersweetness to it. Like, I just love it. I think that's a great call, Brad.
Just again, movies that take frank conversations about sex and I think in intelligent ways. I liked it. I liked the fact that there was a lot of open conversations, and I enjoyed it. People talk about sex all the time, and this movie I think did a good job of kind of I think at least simulating kind of like how I think people really talk.
Kind of
about
sounds
sex.
real.
Yeah. Not the sappy like romantic comedy style.
Well, I'm just gonna kind of piggyback on that a little bit. I'm gonna snag. I finally found something. I learned how to properly satisfy a bottle. I've always wanted to do that.
I've never made apple juice come until I watched that movie.
Yeah. It was technique wasn't tickling or nothing.
This one time I thought it did, but I think it just faked it.
I also actually
think it was like not 100% juice. It was like concentrate.
Seriously, I would like to say that this opened the door for Ted Lasso, because this was the first time he got a taste of coaching some soccer or being near soccer.
Right, and he's like, I can't get enough.
Yeah, so.
I'm going to piggyback right on that. Like,
I'm trying to find good shit.
Story.
For me, the snag is Sudeikis. I mean, I think the acting in this movie by Sudeikis and Alison Brie both, but like the acting in this movie by Sudeikis is phenomenal. Like you because it's the movie that it is, like it's never going to get a look, but it's as good as Lasso, just on a smaller scale, right? Yeah. Like his range in terms of some of the times, like the scene with Amanda Peet, and several of them, and his scenes with Lainey where he's laying there saying, I love you for free. And just, he can be funny and serious and heartbreaking. Like I think he's the underrated actor of the last 10 years. And even as much as he's gotten credit for Ted Lasso, like some of his indie stuff, he's just great. Like he's not taking it as seriously as I think he should be.
I don't follow the tabloid stuff, but I remember hearing something about like he was in a weird relationship or cheated on somebody. Like is he the bad guy in real life, or is he not?
I don't remember the exact details. I just remember he got served his divorce papers at an award show.
Yeah, something like that.
Or the other way around. He served
the award show.
I think he served her
with papers at an award show.
The award show served him divorce papers.
Yes.
Is what you're saying? Makes sense.
I don't know. I just like I said, it's interesting that he's played like this the most wholesome guy you can imagine, but he also can play this douchey guy, or I'm not going to say douchey, but like there's definitely like this a little bit dirtier guy.
Yeah, kind of shady, a little bit sneaky, a little shady.
And so it's like, which side is more his personality, or is that like just is he a combo of that?
I don't know, but I think that's the genius, right? You don't know.
I do like his accent. I've always liked his little whatever, like Kentucky or whatever he's from.
All right, Brad, what are we body bagging?
I'm gonna body bag the douchey guy she starts dating that she meets at like the party.
Yeah, with the kid.
Because like it's like all of a sudden like she's on a date. I'm like, wait, why is she on a date with him when he came across as like the most douchey dude ever? And I mean, he clowns. Jason Sudeikis clowns him as he's doing it. And then she's like dating this dude for a little bit.
And he's kind of douchey on the first date too.
Like, I just like.
But I guess I take it as like she's trying to go for the guy that's like a little bit normal.
Yeah.
Right. Not the doctor who's a fucking weirdo or the like serial cheater.
Yeah, I guess.
And do you think because Sudeikis saw him like picking up on her, was that why he was extra mad when she used his move on her? Like, because she told him about
100%.
Yeah. So like
it made it to that guy.
Yeah. Like what if it was another guy that he didn't know?
The dirty DJ.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, that was rough.
All right, what are you body bagging, Scott?
Okay. This Amanda Peet and the whole thing with her having the kid and him getting involved with the kid and like being together for like 2 months. I don't like that being part of the story. I liked him beating the shit out of the asshole, but then the fact that the line that just fucking sucked was, "I can't believe that you made my kid fall in love with you," and that whole thing made me fucking not like him again.
That's a douchey thing to do.
And that whole thing, like,
No doubt.
like if he was still into Lainey so much, then why the fuck are you doing that? Or just, be good. And so that made me not like his character again after I was starting to kind of like him.
To play a hair bit of devil's advocate, though, why is she introducing her kid to someone she's been dating for 2 months?
And that's, you never, it's up to the person. Like if you've dated somebody who has kids, it's always, and sometimes it's because
was it only 2 months? Because I maybe I just
I think
lost
it
track
said
of
2
time.
months.
She moved after.
Oh,
2
I thought it
months,
was like 2 years. Like
no,
it
it
said
was
2
months.
months.
because he's coaching the team and like the kid's asking him for permission for shit. I'm like, that's happening after 2 months.
Yeah, it has a little, when they're packing up the U-Haul, there's a little thing at the bottom that says like 2 months later.
Yeah. Oh shit, maybe I just.
Or after
so
the
I
U-Haul.
think to play slight devil's advocate there too, I guess part of me is like, we see it because we know then that he ends up like, basically like fucking up. Mm-hmm. But it's easy to imagine that he was like in good. He claims like he's acting in good faith, like he thought he was trying to move on, right? And like he doesn't do a good job of that. Right. But like
if he doesn't see dude, does he not go be
maybe
that, like they never
like maybe they never come back around.
But or is they go on forever and he's not really in love with her and he's really in love
possible.
with her. And
but people tell themselves all kinds of lies, and like mean it and try,
right.
Like, I guess that's part of it. But fair point. Like bringing the kid into it makes it sting a lot more.
Yeah.
All right. Kendra, what are you bagging?
What am I bagging? I am bagging. I understand that like in today's society, we have to like show this on a movie screen. But for some reason, I hate when they show you people's text conversations in a movie and like their little text combo they have back and forth. I know that's like the world that we live in, and that's an important whatever. But I don't like.
I think back then it was kind of new and kind of interesting, and this was kind of. But I think I've seen this in so many things now.
No, 2015 it wasn't. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to say
showing it in the
movies,
though. Like
showing it as a thing.
I feel like Social Network was doing it in 2010, and like I don't know. I feel like it's been around for a little bit.
It wasn't the first.
I think it's.
I'm saying compared to now.
I mean, 9 years ago, it had been done a lot less. Like it's definitely a.
I think it's lazy. It's easy. It's easy to get some plot across without having to film something, so it's probably cheaper for the studio too.
Right.
Just put on some fucking text. Let's go.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't really necessarily know why I don't like it, but I don't like it.
But a lot of conversation happens through text nowadays. I mean, I guess that's the reality.
And that's what I mean. Like, I get it, but I just don't.
You don't get it. You don't need to see that.
I see it enough.
See that. Okay, so here's a weird one. I'm going to body bag the fact that they don't sleep together anytime in the interim. And the reason is because like I don't buy it. Like
I was kind of thinking that at the same time. I was like, they seem like they're so perfect for each other.
And I think there's a way to make it like now maybe this like makes it just too. I mean, shoot, Scott's gonna really go off the deep end if this happens, but like it's just the ultimate gray move, right? Like it's like imagine them like cheating on their significant others, whoever they're with, or like I guess I'm just saying. It's like if they can't help themselves, like there's some purity to the fact that they're able to not sleep together and they're trying to be on this road of being better people. But like, what if they slip up, and then they're like, devastated by the fact that like they really can't like hold it together, and so there's a period that passes. And anyway, maybe this gets us into the next category a little bit, or it gets us into alternate endings. But I guess I like the idea that like that would be more real to me. Is like, they slip up, like they can't hold out,
especially
like,
since they already broke the seal all those years
exactly.
ago.
So I mean, which I think is exactly part of it, right? It's like no way.
But I do think it's cute the little line that they have at the end where like we lost
our virginity and
we
waited till marriage.
And we
I
waited
do
till
love
marriage.
that. Yeah,
was cool.
I do love that.
It's a cute line.
There's a balance
and at least
because
they
it still
know that
needs
they
to be a
both know
rom-com.
how to have the sex.
But they do fuck before they go actually get married. So
They didn't wait.
Yeah.
Heathens. All right.
But no, on that same point though, there was at one point during the movie, and again, maybe this is I'm bad at watching movies nowadays, but I was like, did they make a pact? Like, is there something I'm missing? Like, why they're really not sleeping with each other? Like, did they do like a blood oath or like what was it? Like, what actually? Is there anything that did they make a promise to each other?
I think it's just like they don't want to ruin the friendship or something, but they don't make much of it.
I want to say they were just sitting there because they were talking about like they didn't want to mess it up, and how they said that would probably. I mean, it's later when he says how
it's the mousetrap conversation.
Yeah, mousetrap.
Right, but they've been hanging now. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember. Again, time. Obviously, I missed out on
it's years.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, once they realize they're like best friends, like it seemed like that'd be like, hey, you know what? We actually really like each other, and we should probably start fucking.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I don't know.
So
Start fucking.
So if you like this movie, you're really going to like the things we have to say in the next category.
Crackle, Pluto, HBO, Find Anime on Crunchyroll, Peacock, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Tubi, Sling TV, Shudder, Fubo. What the fuck is Fubo? I'm sure it'll cause a sensation. It's a streaming recommendation.
All right. If you're loving this, or maybe if you're hating it, I don't know. What should you watch? What do you think, Kendra?
I think you should ask someone else before you ask.
What do you think, Brad?
We talked about this a little bit earlier. I was talking about this kind of has some Kevin Smith adjacent dialogue, and Chasing Amy is available on Prime. I think that's the one that probably is closest match to this. A lot of relationship talk, a lot about some more, I'd say, graphic sex talk, but I think done in a mostly intelligent way. It's the least Jay and Silent Bob of all of Kevin Smith's like Askew universe movies. So it focuses on relationships, and I think it's a pretty solid one. And if you haven't watched it, maybe watched it a long time ago and you kind of forgot about it, revisit it. Chasing Amy on Prime.
So, because I wasn't a huge fan of this, I had a hard time thinking of what was close to it. I actually kind of Googled what is similar to this, and there was a long list of movies I've never seen.
Just tell people to watch Ted Lasso. Come on.
I don't want to do that. I've said that before. You should watch Ted Lasso, please. But so I decided to go with a rom-com that I like and has sleep in the title, Sleepless in Seattle, because it just makes you feel good. And the people get together and it's all sunshine and rainbows. It's nothing like this, which I think is a good thing. It's on Peacock, Roku, and Tubi.
I love it.
Tubi's not a real thing.
See, didn't that movie like start the whole like text conversation like on screen?
You might be thinking You Got Mail.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Sleeping in the Salad. There's somebody's dead, right? Or comed?
No, that's why you were sleeping.
That's why you were sleeping.
Good, close call, though.
Someone is comed and while you were sleeping.
Yes. I
thought Sleepless in Seattle was like writing a newspaper or something. Like, I thought that was like a chat room thing, but that's You've Got Mail.
I think so.
Shit.
Yeah.
I don't think you know.
What is the basic plot of Sleepless in Seattle?
His kid calls up a radio show
show
and talks about his dad and
how he lost his mom.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then Meg Ryan
people.
hears
See, I was right. Dead or comed.
There you go.
were right about dead or comed. Thank you, Brad.
You had something there.
That's our new category instead of
Dead or comed.
Instead of cameo or dead or cameo.
Okay. So what are you gonna give us?
What I would say in relation to dating movies is He's Just Not That Into You is a great flick.
That's a solid pick.
It's got 8 to 10 different little sub-stories in there, and it's all just a bunch of romantic fun. And you can rent it on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, you can.
And it's wonderful.
You already give yours around? What did you say?
Yes, he did.
I said Chasing Amy.
Yeah, you did. Oh, so I would have done one that I've recommended before, which is A Lot Like Love, Amanda Peet.
I love that movie.
Love it. It's actually, to me, maybe the closest. Like, this is like the spirit animal
Of When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
100%.
So, but in fact, you literally cannot get it in a digital format. Other than maybe, you can't stream.
I own it on DVD.
Okay, if you're friends with Kendra and you can get her to loan it to you, watch that. If you can't, I would tell you to go and watch the director's other feature film, which is Bachelorette. And so we talked about that earlier. It is in fact available on Max. So I might revisit it. I might take my own streaming recommendation. Who's ever done that before, huh?
Oh, snap.
Own you.
Damn.
Wow.
Owned. Brad, you wouldn't get it. It's probably over your head, but
I bet it is. It's too weird for me.
too weird.
No jet wash for Maverick, Meg still on that goose stick. Iceberg list Titanic, Leo's drawing that nude shit. Jim fucks Nadia like we all thought he should. Ricky and Doughboy get the fuck out the hood. Luke hooks up with Leia just like he's intending. It's time for a reshelf and alternate endings.
Oh, am I supposed to say something? Okay.
If you want to just quit hosting in the middle, go for it.
All right. Anybody got a reshelf or an alternate ending that they just can't live without throwing out here?
I want to reshelf, and I think I want to reshelf. I've recommended a movie before that I think makes fun of romantic comedies in the most beautiful way, and that's They Came Together. I want like the They Came Together version of this, where it's just a little bit just weird, zany, stupid. The sex scenes, rather than super intense and like graphic and breathy, I want them to be just like super wild, like just, just ridiculous, over the top.
So when you guys mentioned that this was the movie you wanted to do, I thought you were talking about that movie. They Came Together first. And I go, oh, cool. You guys talk about that all the time. It sounds fun. I looked it up before. I still haven't seen it yet. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. And then I saw it was this one. And then I watched it. And then you heard what I said.
Hey, you and Annika got to watch They Came Together now.
Okay.
Because it's brings all the whole genre together in a more palatable way for me.
All right. Excellent.
So yeah, I want to make this where it's a little bit darker comedy. Like Adam Scott just waiting to be a ridiculously stupid character. Like I want it to be like just silly and funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, okay, I mentioned I didn't love how this ended, and I actually at one point thought, what is this, Return of the King? Because it kind of kept going when I thought it was going to be over. And because like when she went off to school, I thought, okay, that's a good place to end. Honestly, I thought that was a good, because I didn't want them to end up together. So that's what's going to happen in my movie. She goes off to school. He stays with Amanda Peet and her kid. And then you see him sitting there, maybe at the soccer game, reading a newspaper or scrolling on his phone or whatever. And he sees an article about the douchebag gyno got caught up in a scandal where he's banging all his patients.
Love that.
And then, so you see he's just getting hauled off to jail, whatever, in the article. And then you see him just kind of smile, and it kind of fades back, and everything's right in the world.
So I was going to do I wanted something similar as a possible alternate ending, because even though like that doesn't give you the thing you want, I actually don't love the ending in the sense that it feels a little too like, it doesn't honor the complexity of the movie. And also in a sense, right, like if you get Scott's ending, it follows through on the great line, which is like, I love you for free.
Right.
Like, and it gets that complication, right? Like sometimes you're in love with people that like, you don't think it's going to work. Right. And like that exists in life. And I think like the idea that like Amanda Peet's awesome, and like the idea that he could get into that and like love her too. And I think there's this idea like we live with where like, if you're truly in love with someone, you can never love anyone else again, or you couldn't possibly be sort of in love with two people at one time for some period of time. Like, I think we live in the world where like of movies where that's sort of the way that where it's pitched. And I mean, that's nonsense. Like that oversimplifies everything.
It would have been wild if that movie just goes to black right as he punches dude. And then just boom, goes to black like
and
credits.
Like, what happened?
Right.
I
don't hate that either.
And it's like he has feelings and he's getting revenge, but now it's up to you to think like, was this like a movement towards her, or was this just him?
And I would like that better,
getting revenge for her.
Then you don't have the whole thing where Amanda Peet's all upset, because he fell in love with a kid. But so quick.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So a little quick clarification.
There's no pedophilia in Scott's alternate.
Wow.
So one thing I didn't like, and I said it after the movie. And then, but Annika's like, well, I think she said this. So I don't know if you guys remember. So when he calls her, is in the prison or in the jail, and he says, I want you to come home. Does she come home?
I think so.
And so I don't fucking like that at all. Why is she giving up on her shit? But Annika thought she maybe heard something where they were going to get married and then go back or something.
Yeah, they're going back to Michigan.
They're going back to Michigan?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I was like,
because they say after she walks out of homie's office, he says, oh, can I leave the state now? And she's like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's good. I bought tickets for tomorrow
to go back to Michigan. Yeah.
Wait, to go back to Michigan or go to on that trip that he's going to go with Michigan? Okay.
Because she goes, oh, well, no honeymoon. He's like, oh no, I booked us the suite at whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So but I also don't just like the fact he's like, I want you to come home. It's like, no, you're going to go to fucking her. That's why but anyway.
Yeah.
So if I'm reshelving,
what does he do in the movie? And again, this is just me.
I don't remember.
They had some sort of
sold technology to a thing, and then he makes money and then things.
And then he makes like millions because the lady.
Things,
ladies.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Contracts and working for Amanda Peet for some reason.
He sold his bookstore that sells maps.
Yes, he did.
So if I'm going to do an
Notting Hill.
if I'm going to do an alternate, or if I'm going to do a reshelf, I actually want to go and I want to see the movie that's like a little more drama than comedy. That's about the sex addiction. That like it confronts the fact that they like actually supposedly both have sex addictions, and it still keeps the relationship, and it actually keeps the thread that they like managed to hold out and not sleep together, which is like the great success of the movie, and it's the great struggle, right? But like ultimately the ending would still be bittersweet, which is like they can never be together because like they both have this problem, right? And they don't trust each other, and they both realize like, but like they forge this friendship where they fight this attraction the whole time, and you get a little deeper into like what the real, because like you get a few of these scenes where she's just like, she goes to see the doctor and she just can't handle it, and she's in the bathroom and she wants to text him, and like you get little glimpses of that like very real, you know, intense sort of drama. And I think like there's a movie there that would be a heavier, but could still have a little bit of like comedy and a little bit of romance in it that still kind of ends bittersweet. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it ends sweet because the movie's heavy. I don't know.
This movie does kind of try to like stay on that tightrope of like back and forth, where it like it doesn't go too far either way.
And it leans more comedy. And I guess I'm just saying exactly. It could lean more drama with, you know what I mean? Like I think you're right though. It does live that line. And I think, what if you leaned a little the other way?
Yes, I think that's maybe one of my biggest like criticisms of the movie is that it's almost like two movies that kind of got smushed together. And I think if you pull them apart, I feel like if you pull them apart, it could be a great, like I said, serious movie and then a ridiculous comedy movie.
Probably something you just wouldn't get though.
Yeah,
it's a little complex, kind of quirky
complex,
for you.
And
okay.
I think what ends up happening is that you end up finding out that Matthew is really creepy and he has some strange collection of Q-tip swabs from all of his patients.
Oh, God.
And, you know, he ends up being this crazy serial
sniffs them all
vagina
stuff.
sniffer. Mm-hmm.
He just like has a
That's
collection
my
of Q-tips to sniff. I love that. Just out of nowhere.
He's got a creepy mustache. I want him to be extra bad, you know?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the Q-tip sniffing as the alternate.
Or he's a daywalker.
Yeah, but there's no I'm surprised no one went vampire.
Well,
and
there's a whole world of vampires here that are in the shadows,
Mm,
but we just don't get to see them.
Mm.
But that's the art of the movie, is that like it's there.
I think Amanda Pete's a vampire, probably.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
No, there's any question. She just never shows it in the movie, but
She's only in the office or like in the dark.
Sometimes sometimes it's context, and the context of the whole movie is that there's a whole underworld of vampires.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Sleeping
the
with other people till dawn.
That was the porn he was
kind
watching.
of more of a porn title, but still it works.
Sleeping with other people till dawn.
It does work.
All
You
right.
wish.
Well, I think we've pretty much I think we've run this movie backwards and forwards pretty well. I think we did pretty well. You know, we handled it, even though Scott struggled a little bit.
Everybody got in there. We all got to
Got
take
there.
the turntables. We got to scratch it up a little
Little
bit.
dirty DJs.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
No one was too rude, though.
we got
They were respectful.
I didn't hate it.
I was a little rude to Scott's beard earlier.
How dare you?
I was a little rude to your leg.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, so next week we are going to be back with a draft, and that draft is the most memorable breakups in movies. Several breakups in this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get the breakup where we get the early breakup in the restaurant, right off the bat, right? We get the breakup between her and the creepster, right? Kind of at the end is like really kind of a breakup.
Yeah.
And we get Amanda Pete in the cop car breakup. Like there's a lot of breakups that are kind of different flavors.
Right.
She doesn't really break up with the guy with the kid.
No,
She
we don't
just
get that
disappears.
one. No, we don't get that one. But there's just kind of like so I kind of dig the like there's a few of them in here, and I want to know, will anyone take any one of the different special edition t-shirts from this movie? Mm-hmm. That will be the question in next week's draft. And until then, and without Zach here, I want to hear you say
bye-bye.
Yeah.
I can brag your favorite podcast. Let's start this.